Hello Tigers, and welcome to the TMNtv newscast for Wednesday, November 13th, 2019. Stay tuned for the latest news at Fort Hays State University and around Northwest Kansas and the nation. I am Lauren Davis, and Jenna Hawley will be here shortly with a look at what's going on around the globe, and Haley White will fill you in on what's happening in the sports world. But first, here's what's making news in Tigerland. Research, and pie. That's what a group of FHSU students focused on recently in Forsyth Library. The undergraduate research experience, also known as URE, was the focus of an event for students to network and discuss research opportunities. The event was hosted by the Office of Scholarship and sponsored projects. Freshmen through seniors participated. The night also featured a bit of sweetness with several types of pies offered for those attending. Misty Coos from the Office of Scholarship and Sponsored Projects told TMN reporter Laura Krug the night was designed to explain research projects ongoing at the university. For more, see Laura's story at tigermedianet.com. A former president of the U.S. was the main talking point at the university's library last week. FHSU graduate Randy Gonzalez talked about his thesis involving John F. Kennedy's trip to Kansas in 1959. He discussed how the trip was unique since Kennedy was a Democrat visiting a strong Republican state. Gonzalez showed pictures of JFK posing with people in Dodge City and greeting college students in Salina. Kennedy also made a stop in Hays during the trip. JFK was assassinated on November 22, 1963 in Dallas. He was serving as the 35th president of the U.S. at the time. The FHSU campus played host to an event to bring attention to oppression in the world last week. The event in the ballroom of the Memorial Union was aimed at raising awareness to oppressions in the world and community. These include such things as hate crimes and mental illness shaming. TMN reporter Carissa Brown has this report.
On Tuesday, November 5th, student engagement put on the Tunnel of Oppression in the Memorial Union. The tunnel served as a way for students to educate themselves on microaggressions, hate crimes, and oppression.
The Tunnel of Oppression is actually an annual event that occurs here at Fort Hays. Basically, it's a way for us to challenge our students to go out of their comfort zone and become educated on oppressing issues that are affecting our society today. A lot of those big social movements that you see on social media, that's kind of like the derive of like giving it a more educational platform and like a simulative type of experience for all of our students.
A variety of student organizations presented in the demonstration. These included the Center for Civic Leadership, the Hispanic American Leadership Organization, and the Psychology Department. Participants were able to examine what it means to be privileged in our society and learn about many of the difficult challenges that a wide range of people in our country have to face every single day. For Tiger Media Network, I'm Carissa Brown.
A member of the Kansas State Board of Education has thrown his name into the ring for a spot on the U.S. Senate. Steve Roberts of Overland Park has announced he will seek retiring Senator Pat Roberts' seat in Washington, D.C. He told the Topeka Capital-Journal he intends to be the education candidate for voters. Roberts joined the State Board of Education in 2013. He is a representative of schools in Johnson and Wyandotte counties. Roberts is a Republican and will eventually have to compete in a primary election to make the 2020 general election. U.S. Representative Roger Marshall, former Secretary of State Chris Kobach, and State Senator Susan Wagle already have announced they will seek the seat from the Republican side. The concerns for those vaping has now entered the world of secondary education in Kansas. The Kansas State Board of Education is considering adopting recommendations to change state law and local BOE policy to block vaping. The new rules would extend to students, employees of school districts, and school visitors. The Topeka Capital-Journal reports this recent study by Kansas high school students shows nearly 49% of students have used an electronic vapor product to consume tobacco. That was a 15% jump from the previous year. One area superintendent said his school district already has implemented changes to tobacco use and has had good results. Ness City Superintendent Derek Reinhardt told the state board the recommendations, Also would block basically anyone on district grounds and in school vehicles from using tobacco. Reinhardt told the board Ness City passed a similar policy approximately 5 years ago. He said he believed it was a good proposal in terms of what's best for kids. The state board is expected to vote on new recommendations for tobacco use in December. When we return from this short break, Jenna will be here with news from around the globe.
Leadership is an interdisciplinary applied social science. So what that means is it's interdisciplinary in nature, which means that we bring in research and theories from a whole variety of different academic disciplines, and we put them together in ways that help students become effective agents of change in a whole variety of organizational settings. We teach transferable skills that work in lots of different organizational contexts. So things like change making and how organizations handle change and promote positive change, communication skills, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, a whole variety of other things that can be applied in lots of different types of situations.
I've learned a lot, especially through self-reflection, that is a big part of the leadership program. It's given me a lot of new tools and abilities to handle conflict, as well as showing me that I can be creative and I can do different things than what I'd always thought I was able to do.
I think that's so unique within the leadership department is we work on those personal development skills and how to be more empathetic towards other people and how to make our team members better people and how to make ourselves better people. And I think that's one thing that I've really appreciated and taken away from my time here at Fort Hays and in the leadership studies department is that it doesn't take a whole lot to be kind.
You know, leadership studies is all about how you work with people, how you connect with them, how you develop relationships. When I look at our students, I just want them to know that they can create change just as much as anybody else can. And that is what leadership studies is all about, is working with other people to create positive change, whether it be in our organizations, communities, or even the nation or world.
My name is Allie and I'm a senior business major at Fort Hays. I love working for TMN. It has made me a more experienced photographer and really helped me professionally due to all the changing environments and the different opportunities. I've also been able to meet and talk to a lot of people, which has helped bring me out of my shell.
Hello Tigers, I'm Jenna Hawley and here's what's happening around the globe. The Republican staff of 3 panels involved in the impeachment investigation drafted a detailed memo outlining their defense of President Donald Trump. The memo uses witness testimony from closed-door depositions and public reporting to undercut many key arguments made by Democrats. It marks the most centralized and detailed effort to lay out the Republican counterargument to impeachment that's been crafted. It will serve as the baseline for members to use their defense of the president as the impeachment probe moves to public hearings. According to CNN, the memo's 4 central defenses are the July 25th call summary that shows no conditionality or evidence of pressure. Both presidents have said there was no pressure on the call. The Ukrainian government was not aware of the hold on U.S. assistance during the call, and the security assistance hold was lifted September 11th. A freshman at San Diego State University died after being hospitalized for several days following an off-campus fraternity party. Dylan Hernandez died at hospital Sunday. He allegedly attended a Pi Gamma Delta fraternity event off-campus on Wednesday. The school's president, Adela Della Torre, urges anyone with information to come forward. According to Fox News, the university placed the Infraternity Council and 14 other fraternities affiliated with the group on suspension Friday after the university police uncovered information which alleges that a fraternity was involved in possible misconduct. The San Diego Police Department would only take over the case if the medical examiner's office declared the death a homicide. President Donald Trump has renewed his trade attack on China. He called the nation cheaters, though he blamed the situation on past U.S. leaders. Speaking at the Economic Club of New York on Tuesday, Trump said, "Since China's entrance into the World Trade Organization in 2001, no one has manipulated better or taken advantage of the United States more. I will not say the word cheated, but nobody's cheated better than China, I will say." The president's remarks break a period of peace between the two sides. China and the U.S. have been looking to work out the first phases of an agreement that would ease tariffs. Trump said previous leaders who negotiated trade deals with China allowed for the manipulation of the agreements with results that hurt American workers. According to CNBC, Trump also signaled out the European Union for unfair trade practices. Details of a potential deal remain in flux. The U.S. is pushing for more open markets and an elimination of intellectual property theft, while China wants Washington to drop $250 billion worth in tariffs that were imposed. In a statement released Tuesday by the Israel Defense Forces and Prime Minister's office, a senior commander of the Gaza Strip militant group Islamic Jihad was killed in an Israeli airstrike. In Damascus, Syria, another airstrike killed at least 2 people, including the son of an Islamic Jihad leader. The strikes served to escalate tensions between Israel and Gaza militants. According to CNN, Islamic Jihad is the second largest militant group in Gaza after Hamas. The IDF said Islamic Jihad was behind more than 100 rockets fired. Turkey's president issued a threat to Europe over looming sanctions over Ankara's unauthorized drilling in the Mediterranean. Recep Erdogan told reporters, "You should revise your stance towards Turkey, which holds so many IS members in prison and controls them in Syria." It was reported by the Associated Press that his comments were a response to the European Union's unveiling a system for imposing sanctions on the country over drilling off Cyprus. The Turkish president also said Turkey would continue to send foreign Islamic State militants to their home countries. According to Fox News, his move to use ISIS prisoners as a bargaining chip is a troubling turn. The country's motivation for the offense has been debated, while Ankara has been accused of poor planning and security standards at the so-called prisons. The former president of Bolivia arrived in Mexico on Tuesday. Evo Morales resigned under pressure from street protests and the military. Morales stepped down Sunday after a disputed election that started weeks of protests. Opposition leaders hope to assemble a quorum of legislative assembly to formally accept his resignation and choose an interim president. It is unclear if Morales' political party would allow that to happen. According to the New York Times, a senator who is next in the chain of command to become interim president said the Legislative Assembly would meet Tuesday. Attempting to dispel concerns that the Assembly would be deadlocked or not reach a quorum to proceed, she said most supporters of Morales would attend the session. In his audio message that was released by the Mexican news media and broadcasted in Bolivia, Morales called on the military to stop the massacre. That's what's happening in the news world today. Stay tuned for a sports update with Haley White when we return.
Tiger Media Network is the independent student media organization here at Fort Hays State University. It encompasses audio, video, print, photography, digital news. There's a little bit of everything at TMN.
They offer so many different events, opportunities, so many different things to go out and do and learn so that you can make a more compelling story and just help develop you as a storyteller.
I toured this facility and I saw this radio station and then the TV studio, and I was like, yeah, this is something that I definitely need to be a part of. Here, you know, I was instantly able to make my own content, being able to broadcast my own shows.
If you have a passion about sports or about news, it doesn't matter. You can come here and you can work from day one and get that experience that demonstrates your ability to be a professional in the media industry.
Hello Tigers, I'm Haley White bringing you a sports update. FHSU football nearly became the first program in more than 2 decades to beat the perennial powerhouse Northwest Missouri State in 3 consecutive regular season games in front of a home crowd Saturday, but a Bearcat double overtime field goal snapped the Tigers' chances from not only making history, but their chances of making a run in the postseason. FHSU was in control to begin the contest, taking an early 17-0 lead in the second quarter. The Bearcats responded within minutes, collecting 2 touchdowns to cut the lead down to a field goal. It was Chance Fuller's intercepted pass that allowed Northwest to reach the field goal range and kick a field goal to tie up the contest. The Bearcats took a 19-17 lead heading into halftime after punting the ball to the FHSU 1 and scoring on a safety on the next play. The team seemed to match each other's performance for the majority of the second half, having no trouble finding the end zone and making big defensive stops. However, the Tigers found themselves trailing 26-23 as there was just enough time left on the clock to march down to the Northwest 30. But a Fuller sack pushed the ball back 9 more yards, putting the Tigers on the 39-yard line with just 5 seconds remaining in the contest. Kicker Dante Brown didn't sweat the situation, successfully kicking a 56-yard field goal to send the game into the first overtime. A pair of touchdowns coming from both squads ended the first overtime, and it was ultimately a recovered football in the second overtime that sealed the Tigers' fate in the nail-biter as Northwest solidified a 36-33 win with a 38-yard field goal. The Tigers will wrap up the 2019 season in Tahlequah, Oklahoma on Saturday against Northeastern State. Kickoff is set for 2 p.m. FHSU men's soccer clinched the GAC regular season title, which means the Tigers will host the inaugural GAC MIAA championship beginning this Friday. Joining number 1 FHSU in the tournament is number 2 Rogers State, number 3 Northeastern State, and number 4 Harding. The Tigers will take on Harding Friday at 3 p.m., followed by a match between Rogers State and Northeastern State at 5:30. Winners of games 1 and 2 will face off in the championship match Sunday at 1 p.m. After having 6 Tigers reach the podium during the season opener, FHSU Wrestling wrapped up its first weekend of competition by sending 5 wrestlers to the Dan Harris Open Sunday, hosted by Baker University, where 3 of 5 true freshmen earned a spot on the podium. LJ Flax reached the championship match at 285 pounds and finished second during his first collegiate tournament, while Terrius Henry took third at 197 pounds and Clint Herrick placed fourth in the 184-pound bracket. The Tigers will be back in action Saturday as they are scheduled to compete in the Sweet Open in Lindsborg, hosted by Bethany College. The 2-0 FHSU women's basketball team will make its debut at home with a pair of non-conference games this weekend against Adams State on Friday and Cameron on Saturday. The Tigers are coming off 2 road wins after knocking off Minnesota Duluth 59-51 and Concordia St. Paul 67-54 in St. Joseph, Missouri at the Civic Arena last weekend. Tip-off Friday is set for 7 p.m., followed by a 5 p.m. start on Saturday. FHSU men's basketball also opened up the regular season with 2 road wins in Russellville, Arkansas, fighting off Arkansas Tech 88-78 and Southwestern Oklahoma State 58-53. The Tigers will continue their road trip this weekend in Colorado, taking on Colorado School of Mines on Saturday and UC Colorado Springs on Sunday. Both contests are set for 3 p.m. Mountain Time. After upsetting the top team in the country during its season opener, the University of Kentucky was part of one of the biggest upsets in college basketball history Tuesday night as Evansville knocked off number 1 Kentucky 67-64. The win tied for the 3rd biggest college basketball upset in the past 15 seasons, according to ESPN's Stats and Information. Kentucky trailed for all but 5 minutes in the game and led just once in the second half, despite Evansville's rocky 38.3% shooting percentage from the field and 30% from three-point range. After the upset, Kentucky head coach John Calipari stated that he believed the best team won. He said Evansville was the tougher team, and if Kentucky was able to sneak away with a win, it would have almost been unfair. The Wildcats will have a chance to redeem themselves Monday as they take on unranked Utah Valley at 6 p.m. in Lexington. The second college football playoff rankings arrived with several notable changes. After defeating Alabama 46-41, LSU swapped places with Ohio State for the number 1 spot. Clemson and Georgia moved to the 3rd and 4th spots after collecting wins over NC State and Missouri, knocking off Penn State from the top 5 and placing Alabama in the 5th spot. However, within the final few weeks of play, there are rivalry games and top 25 showdowns down the stretch, so rankings are subject to drastically change week by week. Houston Rockets general manager Daryl Morey continues to face backlash regarding a tweet he sent more than a month ago. There have been violent protests in Hong Kong due to a controversial extradition bill. On October 4th, the GM sent out a tweet saying, "Fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong." The tweet sparked controversy due to the fan base the team has from all over the world, especially in China. After deleting his tweet hours later, Morey sent out an apology stating he did not mean to offend the Rockets fans in China and he will take responsibility for his actions. Leak sources say the franchise has lost nearly $7 million in revenue this season from canceled Chinese sponsorship agreements. The backlash from China has now extended beyond just the Rockets. China has now distanced its relationship with the NBA. Chinese companies with existing partnerships with other NBA teams have also terminated the relationship until further notice. That concludes this episode. Tune in next week for another episode of TMNtv. To stay up to date on the latest news and information throughout the week, visit TigerMediaNet.com. Until then, remember, roar Tigers.